Today we have a very special episode with the legend Tom Ziglar talking about sales, something that's really important to his family legacy and something that's really important to me and to all of our listeners. You're going to learn today how to master sales. You're going to receive some great wisdom on the topic and specifically how to hold sales calls, along with receiving some great stories. I'm Justin Janowski. Welcome to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. And my guest today is Tom Ziglar, who's going to help you learn more about sales. If you don't know Tom yet, you need to know Tom. You need to pay attention to him and what they're doing at Ziglar these days. Tom is son of legendary Zig Ziglar, and he's a legend in his own right. He speaks at places like Harvard and Cambridge and for billion-dollar companies, and for some crazy reason, because God's super cool, he waives his speaking fee to come speak at Christian Coaches Academy live with our clients, which is just a blessing and something that's still like a pinch me moment for me. He'll be speaking at our summer conference July 15th through 17th this summer, and I hope you're there to join us. Tom right now is working with so many coaches through Ziglar. He's helping them navigate how to build businesses, how to sell with integrity, how to focus on what he calls income producing activities or IPAs, to actually create real results in their business. And he also helps people navigate the polarized world and the difficult conversations that are happening in the marketplace, how to help people seek truth inside of those difficult engagements online and in other places. And he's just somebody I respect the most when I think about my network. I'm really, really excited to have the opportunity to talk with Tom. Tom, thanks for joining us on the show.
Hey, Justin, great to be here. You have an amazing group. When I was there last year, I'm excited you invited me back for this year. That's going to be pretty cool. It was like speaking to family. So people who have a heart and passion to make a difference in the lives of other people through coaching and just being really curious about what somebody needs, but also being bold to step into that gap of need that they have and saying, hey, can I help you with that? Right? That's a powerful approach, and the world needs it now more than ever. So I'm grateful for what you're doing.
Yes, amen. Thank you for that. And yeah, you did get to come to last year's conference, and you were so generous with your time. You had breakfast with some of our clients, and you spent some time in the room even when you weren't speaking, which is super cool. And you delivered a great message. I'd love to start there. If somebody's listening to this, if they're a Christian coach, a Christian entrepreneur, maybe they've never been to CCA Live, they don't know what it's all about. You said you loved the group. Why should somebody come to this conference?
Well, first and foremost, it's the other people in the room. I mean, coaching is lonely. If you're not part of a community, if you're not plugged into a group of people who are committed to doing the right thing in the right way, and growing, right? Learning and growing and sharing what they've learned. That's what I saw with the people in the room. That's the first thing. The second is, Dad used to say, nothing happens until you sell a can of beans. Right. I mean, if the beans are on the shelf, nobody benefits. The farmer doesn't benefit. The truck driver who brought it there doesn't benefit. The families don't benefit. You got to actually sell it. Coaching is the same way. You've got to meet people where they are and create a vision and a plan of how things can be. Amen. If they just take action, and then you make it easy you invite them in. And so if that's where you are and you want to be that person who's that bridge to help somebody get from where they are to where they want to go, you need to be at the conference, because that's what you learn. You learn the specific steps on how to have that engaging conversation that people feel great about. And even better, when they say yes, it's because it's a fit, right? It's not because it's pressure. It's not because there's that anybody feels forced into it. It's because they've identified what they want and they know that their best chance is with your help. And that's why you come, to learn those skills.
Yes, amen. I love that. Nothing happens until you sell a can of beans. Yeah, they were right. Nobody benefits until the sale is made. And so you and I both know there are so many amazing coaches out there with great skill sets to coach and serve and help people and to have an impact. And it's like that skill set sitting on the shelf because they haven't figured out how to make sales yet. And so they're not benefiting people with the skill set until they learn how to sell. And I think it's because a lot of people aren't really embracing sales. You and your family have really embraced sales. Can you share a little bit about where that started and where that came from?
Yeah, well, I was born February 1st, 1965. And on February 2nd, 1965, in the city that I was born, which was Columbia, South Carolina, Dad put in the paper a birth announcement, and it said John Thomas Ziglar, a salesman, was born February 1st, 1965. And so, a lot of people claim to be a born salesman, but I was, right? I've got the proof. I've got the newspaper clipping. So why did Dad do that? It's because for some reason, there's a negative connotation of sales. And, the way Dad, he said selling is serving. Nobody likes to be sold. Everybody loves help buying, right? Mm-hmm. They love finding a solution for their needs. And so that's just how I grew up. Sales was natural and it was something to be proud of. But there is context. You have to have the right motive. Mm-hmm. You have to have the right virtues and values and character qualities. The end result has to be the client always wins, right? We're doing it for their benefit, not our own. And then when you do that, which is pretty cool, that means you're doing it for them, not for yourself. And when it's, here's an interesting thing around psychology. The more anxiety, fear, or worry you have about a sales call, the more selfish you are. Mm. Because you are attached to an outcome. You're actually judging your success as a human on whether you made the sale or not.
Yeah.
I love this quote. I think it was St. John of the Cross or somebody like that, and a mystic. And this was the quote: God cares not for the size of the work, but only for the love in which it is done. So think about that. God doesn't care how big or small the task is, right? What's riding on it, he doesn't care. All God cares is the love in which you do it.
Yeah.
And so your book, Sales is Love, and the talk you gave to our group, Sales is Love. I mean, that is really what it's all about. Think about this. You go into, an enrollment conversation, somebody who said, you know what, I need a coach. I heard you're good. We had a quick conversation. And now you're going to have that quote unquote sales call, that enrollment conversation. If you go into that curious and your motive is to love them and to serve them and to find out how to help them best, and it may be you and it may not be you, well, now your motive is totally on their side, and you've taken all the fear, anxiety, and worry out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's going to be successful. Because think of this, the creator of the universe only cares whether you're doing it with love, with the right motive behind it.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I think it's about our heart posture. And, you mentioned it, when we show up and put the presence on the other person and just care about serving them, we actually take pressure off of ourselves. And interestingly enough, we're going to make more sales when the focus is on the other person, instead of us thinking that we have to have some big, long, impressive pitch. The presence and focus doesn't have to be on ourselves. It can be on the other person. You also mentioned some of those character and virtues that help us do well in sales: curiosity, love, service. Any others that come to mind, and how we can show up on a sales call from a character standpoint to do well?
Yeah. So obviously integrity, I spoke a lot in that brief talk about mindset and belief, right? Mm-hmm. That to get rid of the fear, anxiety, and worry, we've got to be totally focused on the other person. And here's like the dynamic that's going on. When you're entering into that conversation, what that person is hoping is that they can borrow some of your confidence and belief so that they can get over the hump, right? Like they're stuck. They're either not going as fast as they think they can, or they've hit dead end after dead end and after dead end, and they're frustrated. And so what they need in you to show up is somebody who can transfer confidence and belief to them, that they can do it. Well, this is a big concept, but whether it's the very first enrollment call you've ever had, or it's your thousands, right? Like somebody on our team's had over 4,000 of these. You can show up with enough confidence and belief, even if it's your very first call.
That's right.
Right. And here's how. There's 3 things you got to check off. Number 1 is my motive for them. Like when you check your heart right before the call and you pray about it a little bit and you put it in God's hands. Is your motive really for them to win? Well, most coaches I know, the answer is yes, right? It's like coaching is the greatest thing in the world because so many good people are attracted to it. They just genuinely want to help. So then the second thing is, did I prepare enough with the time I had? Now, I always put with the time I had because what if somebody calls you up out of the blue and says, I've heard so much good things about you. I've researched you. I'm leaving the country for a month. Can you talk in 20 minutes? Because I'd really like to put this to bed before I leave. Well, that gives you 20 minutes to prepare, right? That's all you got. Well, if you prepare as best you can in that 20 minutes, guess you're ready, right? You're ready. And then the third one, and this is powerful. Your third commitment is to speak the truth in love.
Yes.
And that's it. If they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know the answer. Pressure off.
Yeah.
And they will be stunned with delight because everybody fakes it. Everybody makes something up. And to hear you say, gosh, I don't really know the answer to that. I'm going to find out.
Yes.
That is a powerful. So that's how you show up with belief and confidence. So if you're there for the right reason, if you prepared with the amount of time you had, and you just speak the truth in love, then you can have all that confidence. And that's what they're really coming in and hoping for.
Yeah,
Right.
so good. They want to borrow your confidence and belief. That's right. And
Sure.
and people need, I think some people, we talk about like speaking the truth is coming in with boldness, and then on the other side, love and support. And I think some people do too much of one or the other. The reason that sales got a bad rap is there's some people who they're all on like challenge and boldness and push and pressure, and there's no love and foundation of support in the conversation. But then on the other side, the Christian and high integrity and loving salespeople are like, oh man, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to create pressure. So they avoid the truth and the boldness that needs to be spoken and delivered in the conversation. And they're just in the love and support, and they just end up making friends, but they never end up closing deals. And there's a balance to be struck between loving support and a bold, truthful challenge delivered the right way.
Yep. Justin, we have a coaching program called Be the Light.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about truth and grace. And what we say is that truth without grace or truth without love, either way, it wounds.
Yeah.
Grace or truth, or grace or love without truth weakens. Together they heal.
Amen.
That's like one of the main steps in our process. And so as believers, we have to have that balance of love and grace on one side and truth on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's a combination that heals. And so speaking the truth in love is actually the healing journey. And it takes some courage because and I know you've been there where there's something that's on your heart you got to share with them, and you're not sure how it's going to come across, right? Because you're dealing with, I call it a lie, right? They've believed a lie, and that lie that they've believed has become their identity. And so they project an identity based on a lie, and we can see it, right? We know that's what's holding them back. That thing that happened to them in the past, that's now their identity, is the thing that's keeping them from becoming the person God created them to become. And when we coach them, we've got to have that courage to speak the truth in love.
Yes.
Can you imagine a better night's sleep than helping somebody through that?
That's right.
And that only happens if you make the sale.
Right?
It only happens if you make the sale. And I challenge our coaches all the time. I say, if you miss a sale, do you lay awake at night wondering, how you're going to pay the bills because you didn't get the revenue? Or do you lay awake at night wondering how that person's ever going to get out of the hole that they're in, and really concerned about the challenges they face?
Yeah. Wow.
It's the second one, right? If that's you on the second one, then being bold and walking somebody through a process that helps them discover the truth. Because for us, it's all about discerning and discovering the truth. And that's all that a great sales conversation does.
Yeah. I love how you show up and lead at Ziglar. I love your community. If people are listening to this and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I need more Tom Ziglar in my life," we're gonna remind you to sign up for the conference real soon. But he also said that you could email him directly, which I thought was really cool. You can email Tom at Ziglar.com, Ziglar, Tom at Ziglar.com. If you've got questions about this Be the Light program he's mentioning, if you want coaching certification, I would send you to Tom and to his team. They do an amazing, amazing job with that. And so if you want more support learning how to coach, there's no better source than Tom Ziglar and his team. You can email him at tom@ziglar.com. Tom, we kind of divide the sales process, if we're having a sales call, into three pieces. We've got a 10-step process, but I think of it as an opening to the sales call. And then there's the heart of the sales call, which is how we're asking questions and doing discovery and vision conversations and finding the problem. And then I think about the final act is closing the deal, the closing of the sales call, where we're making our offer, we're finding their commitment, and of course we're responding to objections and questions and things like that come up. Could you share some stories? Do you have any stories that come to mind when you think about either the opening or the heart of the sales call or the closing of the sales call? Maybe you've got a story for each, but one or two stories overall would be fine. What comes to mind for you of stories that would help people imagine and get themselves into the state of having those conversations and what might really happen?
Yeah. When you're first starting a conversation, the three areas that you just mentioned, the three categories, I was speaking this Saturday and another speaker gets up and he says, there's three areas in sales. He says, there's the connect, there's the collect, and there's the close. And you've probably heard those, right? So stage one is we got to connect with them. And then we got to collect all the information. We got to be curious. And that is the questions that we ask. That is how we go deeper. And then we got to close. We got to get them to say yes. We got to, I think get them to say yes is not the right phraseology. We've got to paint the vision of what they want.
Yeah.
By asking them questions, because we can't paint it for them. We've just got to ask the questions to do that. And so when I've worked with our coaches and with the people that I've coached, in that connect phase, I'm just super curious.
Yeah.
I'm like, so why are we talking today? When you agreed to this conversation, what made you do that?
That's good.
And it just kind of level sets, and there'll be all kinds of things. And so I'm speaking in general, but a lot of times people are surface level. It's rare when they just go boom straight to the, man, I'm at the end of my rope, right? Usually it's surface level. And so then we kind of move to the next level of connect, which is, and this is moving connect into collect as well. So what is it you want? There's a great, and this is just a great roadmap for anybody, the Zig Ziglar quote of, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want.
Yeah.
There's 5 questions in that quote. You can have everything in life you want. What do you want? Why do you want it? And so in the connect and collect area, I'm trying to find out, what does success look like to them? Like, if things were different a year from now, what would it look like? But then it's the why behind that. Because the why is the driver and the motivator.
Yeah.
So I was working with a client, and so the first call is I get with him. So this is kind of the, he was part of a webinar series. So I knew him through that. And then he says, can you coach me? And so this is that initial call. And I say, and it's a doctor, Dr. Will. So I say, Dr. Will, you know more about me than I know about you. We spend all this time together, and he's from Australia. So I'm like, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning here, and it's 9 o'clock at night there. And I said, so tell me, what are you looking for? He says, Tom, I want 3 things. I want to spend more time with my family. He's a surgeon. I want to have more time to donate my surgery skills at the charity hospital. And I want to mentor young surgeons like that, like me, like a young surgeon. So he's like 45-ish.
Wow.
Okay. And he's got young kids. He's got kids like 5 to 10. So that's what he wants. Well, that's pretty straightforward. And so I just said, well, why do you want that? And he says, well, Tom, I'm fine now. But about 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with stomach cancer. And I had to go through the treatment, and it wasn't a sure thing. And then they told me that even if I was cured, the medication could give me neuropathy and I might never be able to do surgery again. And so for 18 months, I sat at home wondering if I'd wasted the first part of my children's lives totally focused on my career, trying to climb that ladder. So now it makes sense. He wants to spend more time with his family.
Yes.
Right? He wants to mentor young surgeons so they don't make the same mistake he did.
Yeah.
And he wants to give back.
Yeah.
So just
Wow.
that simple thing. And so and I'll just use him as the example around these questions. And there's so many more, but I just love these questions. So you can have everything in life you want. So what do you want? Why do you want it? If you'll just help enough other people get what they want. So who are you going to help? What do they want? And how are you going to help them?
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to focus in on this one area, which was his patients. He said, I've got a great practice, but I have to see 120 people in a like a 3-day time span in order to fill my surgery bay for a day. So I'm staying late every day and working every day. And so that's who I want to help. And I said, well, great. What do they want? He said, they just want to get healed as fast as possible. They want to be done with the pain. So he's doing shoulders and knees. Okay, that's what he specializes in. And I go, well, how are you going to help them? And he said, well, I'm not really sure, but I have some thoughts. And I go, well, what's holding you back? Well, I have to see 120 people basically to find 5 surgery cases that are a fit. And I go, why so many? And he said, well, 80% of them don't need surgery. And I said, well, how would you handle that? And he said, well, I've been thinking about, because I refer them to physical therapists and I give them some options, and then they have to get set up and then they have to call in, and, now their next appointment's a week later. He said, I've been thinking about bringing a physical therapist on site who I can just refer them to instantly. And then he says, and when they come in with their records, instead of me spending 20 minutes with every patient, I'm going to have my team review the records, put them in order, and then I can look at them in 3 minutes.
That's right.
And if I know they're not a surgery patient, I can walk out and introduce them and say, I got great news. You don't need surgery. You need to talk to John, who's a physical therapist. And they're going to do their first assessment with you right now and get you set up. So you know what that did? That simple change created 20% more business and 20% less time.
Wow.
So he got a day off, 5 days a week's now 4, and his surgery bay is filled. And the people he serves, whether they need his surgery or not, are getting well faster.
Yeah. And he's
And
serving partners also, creating opportunities for others.
And I said, you're making as much money. Do you think your team would feel bad about making the same amount of money, but only working 4 days a week?
Right.
I mean, it's like, he's like, no, I think that'd be good. So I said, Dr. Will, it sounds like, now this is the secret, okay? This should take all the pressure off of an enrollment conversation, that first sales call. I said, Dr. Will, it wasn't hard for me to ask you the questions for you to have the answer and the plan. It seems like you kind of already had the plan. He said, yeah, Tom, and this was his words, I think I just needed permission.
Yeah.
And so when we're coaching somebody or when we're in that first call about, do you want me to be your coach? This is why confidence and belief is so high, because they probably already have a pretty strong inkling of what they need to do. And they just need to borrow your belief and get your permission and then have your accountability
Yeah.
and the questions you bring to help them problem solve to go do it. So that's a classic story of that whole process. So what do you want? He had those three things. Why do you want it? Because he'd had a life-changing event and he realized what the priority was now. Who is he going to help? And when I said, well, why didn't you do it sooner? Well, I needed your permission. Yeah, but tell me more. He said, nobody here does it this way.
Yeah.
He was stuck in a trap of not wanting to look different than all of his peers.
Mm-hmm.
How many of us have been in that trap?
Right.
Right. And that's the big objection that we have to overcome.
Yeah.
When somebody really wants to do coaching and somebody with influence over them says, well, that seems like a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the very reason they say they can't, it's the very reason they should.
Right.
Because the things they really want in life, those other influences are holding back on that. Because what they really need is somebody to believe in them.
Yeah.
Give them that permission.
So good. One of the things that stands out as you share that story is that this doctor had a lot of leverage to act and to make a big decision. And the leverage came in the form of, what we might call a rock bottom moment. You and I were talking about that before we clicked play, just some rock bottom moments. And for so many people, they wait until it's the worst of situations before they make a change. And what I think coaching and what I think a sales call, when done right, can do is it can help people see opportunity, help people see the problem, and help people find the leverage they need or uncover the leverage that they already have inside of them to act and become who they want to become or who they were meant to become before the rock bottom moment. It doesn't have to be so bad, but if we have a meaningful conversation where we're sharing truth in love, we can call people to decision and to upgrading their life and to prioritizing the things that are most important before they have that near-death experience or that rock bottom moment. It doesn't have to take that. And somebody who's doesn't have like that level of leverage can still uncover plenty of motivation to act if we hold the right kind of sales call and ask the right kind of questions.
Yep.
That's the gift that we can give people.
Yep.
It's avoiding the rock bottom.
I know. And think about this. This is why people need to come to your conference. This is what I've noticed is that God's nudges are so much more gentle when you're already in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because think about it. An object in motion, it's easier to stay in motion.
Yeah.
And so even though you might be a little tentative or you're not quite sure, the exact direction, if you start moving down, God's little taps on your left or right shoulder are so much easier than when you're firmly planted, unwilling to do anything.
Yeah.
Too often you take that's the middle of the street that you sit down in and the truck comes.
Yeah.
Right.
My mentor used to call it feather brick truck. Are we gonna feel the feather and start to act, or are we gonna wait till we get hit in the head by a brick and But some of us will even still stay stuck until the truck comes, and hopefully we can respond to the feather. Okay, we're gonna. By the way, if you're feeling a little bit of a tickle from the feather right now to come to the conference, meet Tom in person, hang out with amazing Christian coaches, learn more about sales and business development, please sign up and join us. We're offering early bird tickets now, and regardless of when you sign up, it's an incredible value. It's July 15th through 17th in Milwaukee, and you can find out more and sign up for the conference at www.f2itribe.com/CCA Live 2026. That's a mouthful. We'll have it in the show notes. F2itribe.com/CCA Live 2026. Would love to have you join us there. Tom, you and your dad are famous for quotes. As we wrap, you shared one of my favorites already about sales, and I've been telling people about this and talking about it for a long time. We can have everything we want if we help enough other people get what they want. That's a great definition for what sales is when done right. Do you have one or two more quotes about sales to leave people with, or a final thought to share?
Yeah, one of them is a concept. This is famous Zig Ziglar. He said there are 5 reasons people don't buy: no need, no want, no hurry, no money, and no trust. And trust is by far the biggest.
Yeah.
And so everything we do as a coach is building trust,
Yeah.
right? My favorite quote of Dad's was, "You are what you are and where you are because of what's gone into your mind." You can change what you are. You can change where you are by changing what goes into your mind. That is like the bedrock of coaching.
Yeah.
And so I made that longer quote simple. And I said this: what you feed your mind determines your appetite. And we got to put the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, and the positive into our mind.
Yes.
If our vision is to be a life-changing coach, then we got to feed our mind that information constantly, so that it becomes a belief, right? It becomes who we are and the self-image of what we stand on. And the reason I love what you do is that we understand where our identity comes from, right? Because it's something given to us,
Yeah.
right? And because I don't know about you, I've had some wrong beliefs in my life.
Yeah.
And I look back and I go, how did I ever believe that? But when I know that belief is part of it, but my identity is even firmer than that, then I can change, I can grow, I can try new ways. And it's just growth, right? It's just wisdom. So what you feed your mind determines your appetite.
Amen. Amen. Come feed your mind.
That's right.
Some of the good things that you need around sales and business. Come feed yourself with amazing relationships and the faith of God and prayer and worship. Join us at CCA Live 2026. Meet Tom in person and so many other great people. I hope to see you there. Thanks, Tom. God bless you. See you all soon.
Thank you so